morning, good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to Allotrope Foundation Connect Spring 2021 meeting. We're delighted to be with you again through our virtual event series. Hopefully everyone in the community is doing well, staying safe, and having a productive time since the last time we got together. So for today, we'd like to begin our program with thanking everyone for taking time. We know there's lots and lots going on in everyone's day-to-day job and in lives right now. So the fact that you've taken some time out of your busy week to spend a few hours with us over the course of 3 days over the next week really means a lot to us, and we thank you very much for that. For those who don't know me, my name is Vinny Antonucci. I am the current chair of the Allotrope Foundation. And what I'd like to do just briefly and some introductory comments before I turn it over to Product Director Matthew Fox is just take you through an overview of what to expect for today, and then just make some framing comments about some recent exciting advances that we're looking forward to making in the foundation offerings. So first, day one summary. After the introductory comments, we'll have an update from our product director, Matthew Fox, to give you an idea of where the focus of the foundation will be in 2021. Have interesting presentation from our colleagues at Bayer, talking about the possibilities of harvesting digital dividends from data standardized by means of allotrope format. From our colleagues at BYU, really something that me personally as a scientist is very, very important to me is really the great work that we're doing, getting it out there to the scientific community, getting our technology and awareness of it in the hands of the academic community. So this is a presentation to really speak about some of the steps that we're taking to increase the scientific visibility of the Allotrope Foundation within the community. So really looking forward to that. And then finally, a presentation from colleagues at TetraScience, looking at some of the work they've been doing recently to unlock some of the insights in experimental data, specifically focusing on a product that's very, very important in many industrial labs, the Empower chromatography data system. So we're all looking forward to see what TetraScience has been up to in that space as well. So lots to do and talk about today. So let's move on to the next slide so we can get into the agenda. Oop, wrong direction. Great. So the overview of this first talk is just a few bullets that you see here. First, just a refresh on the Allotrope Foundation's purpose. Just as a reminder, for those who've been part of the community for some time, as well as those who are newer to the community and just checking us out for the first time too. Second, review at a high level some introspection that the Allotrope Board of Directors and has been taking over really the last few quarters. An internal look at the foundation and certainly consultation with the community to really think about what we've been doing, how our products are being adopted currently, and what we can do to really achieve some of our ultimate goals of helping really get our products out there for more and more to scientists who need them. Next, we'll take a look at, Matthew will take us through the Allotrope framework, the path forward for 2021, and what some of those specific priorities are, and some additional directions that we'll be taking, and then a general product update with lots of details on the roadmap and what's in the back. So we can move to the next slide, please. You can just build this out. Yeah, thanks. So again, as a bit of an introduction for those new and a refresh for those who've been in the community for a while, in the simplest terms, the foundation's purpose is unwavering. We aspire to solve some of the problems in the digital realities that we're all trying to get to that can be helped by data standardization. So our goal has been to create an extensible standard for the laboratory so that scientists ultimately can get more value out of their data in the form of greater insights, whether they're short-term insights such as analyses or some of those longer-term insights, such as those that come from data science. So that's the overall aspirations of the foundation. And the important second bullet that I'll just draw to your attention is it's how we do it. And we do that through a community that's been together now for a number of years. That's broad in terms of its experience and its expertise and diverse. And the thing that really ties us together is that the community is ultimately we're very passionate about realizing the benefits to our industry of standardizing our data. So that is no small part of the Allotrope Foundation, the critical nature of the community and what we as a collective of diverse scientists have been able to this point accomplish and will be able to accomplish in the future. So it's about standardizing our information so that we can draw more insights, and it is about the community that does the work and consults pretty competitively to achieve these goals. Next slide. Next slide. Matthew, are you controlling?
Yep, trying, not going.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, and you can build this out. It's pretty easier. So, great, thanks. So, but as with any all of us as either scientists or technologists know, science doesn't stand still. Things evolve. So certainly it's healthy for any technical or scientific based organization or a science/technical organization such as Allotrope to take stock at where you are at any moment in time. And that's what we've been doing over the last few quarters, and really thinking about how to drive our ultimate goals that were on the slides before. One of the principal tenets of a data standard is to really have value, it has to be broadly used. So that means it must be adopted. And so the foundation looked at our current state of adoption and decided that to really drive adoption further, we should put a sub team together, which here is termed the EndtoEnd group, that really was charged in the summer of 2020 to take a look at our current Allotrope products and how well positioned they were to deliver standardized information end-to-end for a specific domain. We chose the domain that the Allotrope Foundation began with, LCUV, because it's so ubiquitous in all of our laboratories. And really the remit of the team was to take a look and see where there were gaps to driving adoption, whether it was with our critical vendor partners who make the hardware and software, whether it was with the Allotrope Foundation companies who were acquiring data in the laboratories and trying to draw insights from it, or some of the integrators in the community who were trying to make use of that data. What really was the current state. And what we learned from the team, from their initial readout, was that the Allotrope Foundation really needed to spend some additional time simplifying access to the framework to meet the community's needs. We certainly spent time developing tools that allowed us to take on some of the more complex use cases involving techniques such as HPLC and others that certainly have value and are solving problems in the community. But also the clear feedback was the goal was really to reach the entire community, since it is a very, very diverse community with very diverse use cases, that we really needed to think about a simpler delivery of the framework that allowed everyone to benefit from it, regardless of their strategy and their infrastructure immediately, because that really is what will drive the uptake of the standard. So to this end, the team additionally realized that our current product offerings, which again, with increased data richness, weren't seeing the adoptions as we were seeing and as we were certainly hoping for. And part of, certainly part of this conclusion that the team drew from this is that some of the use cases that folks in any technology journey with are, I'll use the general term, are simpler. Which in some, but in addition to perhaps the use cases being simpler, also it's an acknowledgement that any technology must fit into existing technologies that folks, infrastructures that folks are using. So clearly the barriers to entry had to be lowered, or have to be lowered for folks to be able to take advantage of the technology immediately and really start everyone in the community on the path to adoption, because that's how a standard really takes hold. So as a result, this suggested to the community that really we needed to take a look at our current product suite, our ontologies, data models, file-based format, and look at ways that we could extend that to encourage this quicker, broader adoption of the Allotrope standard, so that we could address both those more complex use cases that really demanded that additional richness in the data to draw the sorts of insights and to give us the ability to explore data, but also to address the simpler use cases that would immediately benefit from standardization and consistency that maybe didn't require that same data richness, but nevertheless were just as important to address, and probably more important to address immediately to drive initial adoption. So that's where I'll stop my comments for the day, for today, and hand it over to our product director, Matthew Fox, who will take you through a high-level summary of the path forward towards some of these goals.
Thanks, Vinny. So the main objective here is to offer a product extension, so enable the easier use of the Allotrope technologies. So as Vinny mentioned, we're intent to lower the barrier so that folks can utilize the standard interpretation of your data. So the data models, sometimes that often gets overlooked. So that's what allows people to do this across either siloed groups or across companies. So we're doing that by intent to create a text-based or similar data models. So this also enables the access, not just the use of, to make it easier. And you can use your favorite languages like Python and R, which we know has been ubiquitous in the industry and folks have been using for a long time and are very comfortable with. So you kind of get the best of both value propositions for the lower level data richness, like the key value pairs and the minor data aggregation. So you have the text-based format, and then you can still leverage the governed terminology and ontologies and data models. So that's key. So one of the things we wanted to highlight here is that, so the core competency, one of the core competencies of Allotrope is that we have the standardized data, but also the standardized interpretation to the data models. So we'd still be leveraging both of those aspects in creating this text-based format. We would hope for target availability by the end of Q3, maybe earlier, depending on the availability of folks to perform the work as a result of the RFP. It's possible it drags out a little bit longer. I'm really hopeful that it's Q3 though. Some expected impacts that we get, asked questions about. So here's kind of responses for folks' thoughts right now that might go through your head. So we intend to maintain complete functionality of the existing AF frameworks, framework products. We want to allow this consistent usage to extend the semantic, the metadata of the tabular and aggregation data models in parallel. I'm trying to be specific on that because the intention of the text base is not to go for a full graph. It's just to target these simpler use cases that Vinny noted. Additionally, so we want to establish this consistency across the community. So interpreting the data, this means that trying to enable members, instrument vendors, and solution providers all to generate and manipulate this the data in this JSON or similar type format, but according to this standardized model. So this really allows it to be leveraged not just within your company, but with CROs, CMOs, solution providers, all the same. So you're all talking not only the same language, you're also interpreting it the same way. And then there's no impact right now to any of the existing production workflows. We wanted to make sure that anything that we were doing on, as a build out of our current technology would not conflict or impact negatively the work that's already been ongoing for several years, particularly with some of our commercial adopters. And then one aspect which I did mention, but these are for tabular data models. So the tabular data models developed prior to this new tool, which will allow this this text-based aspect. There's going to be no impact to those. So actually, the intent of this is to build Within the context of our current modeling capability, this capability to use the JSON or similar aspects, so you won't see any change with that either, with regards to the current tabular data models for release. So might be a little blurry here. It's best I could do with crimping the image. However, this product roadmap is available online as well. If you go to the website in the top right corner, it's like the second link down, and you can actually see drop down. So these are interactive. If you were to highlight over the ongoing product community support, you actually be able to say what's incorporated in that. And you can see we're targeting product adoption on the top here with the simple model RFP, which we did release, which was noted earlier. We have communication aspects that have been in need of revamping. So particularly some onboarding documents, the website, and then building out persona-specific marketing materials. So we have acronyms at the end here, which you can follow along below here for the different aspects and timeframes for which being developed. So I won't go into too much more detail here because you can see it online. You can see much more detail. The intent is to make this, continually updated in public now that we have a clear vision and goal for the 2021, and this would continue to be updated on a quarterly basis. What you don't see here is the models, which you see on the next slide. So we've continued this effort on the left-hand side. So you'll see what we released in 2020, released in December. And then the most recent release at the end of March, we had 3 additional included. There was also some other updates that were going on, but these are the new models. And then we have a strong request over the past roughly 6 weeks or so for coming up. Now we know we're not going to get all of these done this quarter. It's not even a shot at the moon. However, we're going to have to prioritize and potentially work through some prioritization and funding aspects to get as many of these created as we can. We know that these are core to the value add that folks are looking for, and these types of things are drawing folks into the foundation as well. So we've had a lot of positive feedback on these. So with that, and the product release in the lower left too, where you'll find this information for where you have current, existing, as well as upcoming data models. And for those on the tech side, we have a GitLab ticket for each release. So these things are updated within there too. And some feedback from our last release related to the LCUV model update. We're going to try to be more proactive about addressing any item that might come up that might cause a commercially released, I shouldn't say commercially, a recommended release, which is a full release, which may be used in commercial products that may have an impact to existing customers. Typically, when we have an update, it is part of our governance process to go back and move it into a candidate recommendation stage, which allows folks the roughly 2-month period from release time to do some testing on it to work out any bugs before we move it to a recommendation. So we just want to make sure that we're being forthcoming and communicating what may or may not impact those kind of things and try to do that ahead of time or proactively. Got it. Thank you.